Namaskar. What is the most rare and the most precious quality in a human being? In my opinion, but also I think it is quite obvious, the most precious quality is the quality of spirituality. Very rare and very precious. If you have one tiny grain of spirituality, you can change the world. But what exactly is this spirituality? In simple words, you can say it is faith, intuition, vision. Faith not in the narrow sense of religious faith, but in a larger sense. The people who have faith, they have changed the world. If you analyze every leap, every step forward in human progress is done by the people of faith. Not by religious people, of course, but the people who have that vision. So faith is the initial stage, and once it gets matured, it becomes a clear vision. And nobody can convince otherwise. Person just sees the future so clearly, and then he inspires with his vision. Just like there are many blind people, and then he tells them, you know, I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing that. Just take an example of Martin Luther King. He was fighting for the rights of the African Americans, and he was saying in his fiery speech, he was saying, I've been on the top of the mountain and I've seen the promised land. I may not come there with you, but I've seen the promised land, and I'm afraid of no man in this world. Who can talk like that? And such a powerful, I mean, even myself when I watch him, I just get vibrated. He transfers his spirituality, his fire, but even by the recordings, he transforms into me. And it is a formless. He was fighting for the rights of African Americans. I get it. The faith just as a formless energy, that as a confidence that I am too able to do something great. What an immense power! Or take the example of the French girl, 17 years old, Jeanne d'Arc. She was a girl in France, and the France was dominated by England and completely lost any vigor to fight and to resist and to restore their, you know, the national feeling, the national pride, and their, you know, restore the sovereignty. They were under the English rule. So that girl, it comes to her that I must lead the France to freedom. She goes to the king, she talks to the king, she convinces the king to give her army to fight, and she unites. I mean, she is a girl of 17 years old. It's just like when I remember myself to be 17 years old. What can I do? But she's a girl of 17 years old with a vision and with a faith. And with that fire, she inspired the French nation. And they fought and they achieved freedom. What a beautiful example. And then scientists. Tsiolkovsky is one Russian scientist who had a vision of humanity moving to other planets, interstellar travel, the cosmism, the expansion of human civilization, and space travel by dint of the rocket engine, propulsion. And he was living a long time ago, but he has created the concept from which later on other scientists they developed, and they actually shoot the rockets. Now we see all this GPS, all these satellites. It is one man created the seed, created the vision, inspired with that vision other people. So that is the most precious. It is valued also in spirituality. Like my master, he said, in the proper balanced society, the people endowed with the spiritual energy, they should focus in the spiritual work, and they should do less intellectual work, and they should still less physical work. Society should utilize them mostly in the spiritual sphere. If you are the visionary, you don't have to be manager. But if you don't have that spirituality, then, but you are mentally developed, intellectually developed, then you need to be utilized in the intellectual sphere and less in the physical sphere. But if you don't have spiritual capacity or intellectual capacity, only physical, then in the physical sphere. Because intellectual capacity is rare in society, still rare, till this day it is rare. And spiritual capacity is almost none. Very, very few people. So how people acquire that spirituality? Where from those people come? There are two ways how we get those people. One way is natural, by birth. They are born like that. They are dreamers and visionaries. We call it spiritual genius. Some people, very, very few people, but some people, when they come in touch with meditation also, and spiritual philosophy, it's just like, for them it's just like they came home. They understand it all. They don't have to be convinced. Everything is so clear. It's just like coming home. When they meditate, it's just like coming home. There is no effort. It is so natural. And other people, they have to struggle a lot. So there is this genius and technician. So one, by practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing, achieves excellence. And one is born with that excellence. So natural spiritual genius, they are very rare. They are there, but they are very rare. But we can accelerate that process of human progress by creating the genius, technician genius, who has come to that excellence by the dint of his own practice. How does the practice bring about the spirituality? In two ways. One way is to cultivate the energy of your body. You see the river, it has two banks, and it is within those limitations, and the river has the movement. If you remove the banks and spread the river across the big area, the river will not be running anywhere, or will be very slow. And if you make the banks very narrow, the river will flow very fast with a lot of power. So that is, I think, those who study electricity, they understand. If there is a narrow passage, then there will be a lot of tension there. So we have natural forces in us, physical forces, instincts, fearing, eating, sleeping, procreating. If we harness those forces, if we control those forces, and utilize the energy of those forces, then we create the current. And once that energy reaches this point here, Anahata Chakra, we acquire this confidence yes, I can do something. If you are eating too much, for example, you cannot feel it in here that, you know, I have come to change the world. It's not possible. Just because all energy is in the digestion process. Similarly, if you are sleeping too much, also cannot. Or you are eating too little, or you're eating too much, not working. You need to eat enough, and not too much, and not too little. You need to eat enough to get energy, but not to spoil your energy by overeating, because when you overeat, you are actually spending the energy. You are not gaining the energy. So with all the instincts, sleeping, eating, procreating, all those, if we abuse, then we lose the energy and we become like completely spineless, no strength, no inner strength. So spiritual practice starts building up from the body. You learn controlled behavior, different rules of conducts. You embrace them because you want to have a strong tension, you want to have a strong current. So when the people live a controlled life, they have inner tension. I noticed many people, they're just like, there is no, you know? And some people, they're just like tigers. He will jump. And that magnetic personality, that fierce personality is inspiring. I would like to be a fierce personality, like this, with the fire inside. So it comes from the discipline. I have recorded a playlist which is called 16 points. So first 8 points is to cultivate the body. Transform physical energy into mental energy. And then mental energy into spiritual energy. There are people who suggest otherwise, transform spiritual energy into the mental and physical energy. They say, oh, if you wish for something, the universe is going to give you. Anyway, that's a big other topic. I don't want to stop now. I don't want to elaborate on it now. But this is the way to waste spiritual energy. And one is from down upwards until here. Another way is from up down. If you receive the blessings of the spiritual teachers, it is going to awaken your spirituality. If you maintain the ideation of cosmic consciousness, it is going to awaken your spirituality. The cosmic consciousness, you need to ideate. As you think, so you become. You ideate the cosmic consciousness and you acquire the intensity, the power, the wisdom, love, and bliss of that entity. And that is spirituality. So, by ideating on the cosmic entity, you are opening your spiritual eyes. And when that vision is mature enough, it becomes a clear vision. So to acquire the faith, I would, in short, I would just suggest you go through that playlist, 16 points. First 8 points to cultivate the body. Another 8 points is to cultivate your ideation, the mental flow. And that is, you're becoming a spiritual person. You're becoming the most rare and most precious being on this planet. How wonderful is that? And it is definitely, it is going to happen. If you are sincere with that. Because that is also requires, it is a rigorous journey. You can acquire this much, or that much, or as much, but it depends on you, how much you want it. So that is penance in itself, to try and to grasp it and to get it. But once you have done that, you are able to influence society a great deal. I wish in this world there will be many spiritual people, really spiritual people, who can, just like a lamp, one lamp leads up countless other lamps. One match can ignite so many fires. So one spiritually developed personality, one mature, conceptually developed personality, one spiritually matured personality can change the entire world. So let us create many spiritual persons. And where do we take the material? One material is there. Use your body and mind as a fuel for spirituality. Transform that raw physical energy. Make your body and mind as a refinery that produces that little amount of spiritual energy, and then it will manifest. And it is like, it is formless. You don't know how it's going to manifest. Maybe it will express itself in the art, but that art is not simply art. It is the art which is going to inspire many people. Something immortal. It may transfer itself into the technology. It may transfer itself into the social activism. So many ways your spirituality can be expressed. But if you are empty, then there is nothing to do. What you can do, you cannot do. Maybe I am empty now, but I can do spiritual practice. And even within 1 month of an effort, of spiritual effort, you will start feeling this inside yourself, that you have become something. Yeah, I just wanted to share this with you, these ideas, because many people misunderstand spirituality. They think spirituality is something of misguided belief. It's nothing to do with that. It is energy. It is the quality. And amongst religious people, there are not many people with faith. There are not many people with vision and with spirituality also. So people confuse religion and spirituality. There is a heaven and hell difference. And if you met a spiritual person, that person is going to affect your life very much. But there are very few of those. So let you become a spiritual person. It will be interesting to read what you think about it in the comments. Have you felt in yourself the moments of spirituality, the moments of clear vision, and when you feel yourself invincible? Or maybe you met people like that. That is also interesting to know. Namaskar.